Since Bai Yi himself knows that his father will be out in 15 days, he is already preparing to take on the demon caves to level up. Demon caves are another space parallel to their world and can only be accessed by a door that appears out of thin air. Once the demon caves are discovered, they are mostly taken over by the guilds because the demon caves house demonic beasts and demonic ores. This is why it is the best place for awakeners to improve their abilities. However, a team is usually required to enter since the demon caves are pretty dangerous. The demon cave that Bai Yi is about to take on was only discovered 5 years later. Apparently, an F-rank demon cave requires 3 E-rank warriors, while an E-rank demon cave requires a 5-person team consisting of 3 E-rank and 2 D-rank warriors. Bai Yi is confident that the demon cave he is about to challenge is an F-rank demon cave. The demon caves are known to be dangerous, but since Bai Yi has no choice at the moment, he has to take on the cave all by himself. Bai Yi knows why he needs to get stronger as soon as possible. Armed with just the weapon he took from his father's safe, he proceeds into the demon cave. Everywhere is filled with ice and snow, and Bai Yi figures out that he is in the domain of a beast using cloud-type magic. As he strolls through the seemingly deserted domain, he soon runs into a sleeping ice bear. In front of the ice bear are human skeletons, showing that some adventurers might have entered before. While he is still looking around, a bloodthirsty forest wolf appears out of nowhere and almost gets Bai Yi. The wolf, though E-rank, is still stronger than Bai Yi. Bai Yi leaps backward to avoid the wolf, but it comes at him without hesitation. Bai Yi is able to block the wolf's teeth from sinking into him by using the blade. Bai Yi then goes on the attack, and with just a single slash, he takes down the wolf. Bai Yi is able to get this done thanks to the A-rank weapon that he is wielding. It is a weapon that is not available on the market, which is why his father was keeping it hidden. With this weapon, Bai Yi is able to close the skill gap between him and the beasts he is about to take on. The weapon is known as the Hunwu blade, and it is made from Hunwu stone. Because of how powerful it is, it cuts through iron like butter. However, even with the powerful weapon, Bai Yi knows he still needs at least 4 strikes to take down beasts because of their impressive defense. Bai Yi casually teases about how he misses being an L-rank awakener. Bai Yi learns that he needs to take down 20 wolves if he wants to upgrade a level on his skill set. Since he is fighting in an ice area, his cloud element will be the one to receive the upgrades. In addition to this, it is going to take him 10 upgraded levels to move from his current E-rank to D-rank. In no time, Bai Yi had himself surrounded by a pack of wolves that were attracted by the smell of blood. This is the perfect opportunity, yet a dangerous one for Bai Yi to level up. The wolves gang up on Bai Yi, but he relies on 2 skills while engaging the wolves. He combines the dodge skill and the counter-attacking skill to take down the wolves. He is able to maneuver his way around without receiving damage while dealing damage to the beasts. He takes down the first pack of wolves, with each kill giving him 52 experience points. He also acquired wolves' fangs during the fight. After taking out the entire pack, he has the Wolf King to deal with. Using his agility and swiftness, he delivers several cuts to the wolf's body, giving it no chance to heal. The Wolf King dies from the injuries, and Bai Yi earns 56 points for taking out the beast. Because he defeated the Wolf King, he earned a Snow Wolf Diamond. After clearing out the first pack of beasts, Bai Yi already has enough experience points to upgrade to D-rank. In addition to the points he gained, he also earned 12 attributes, and the system prompts him to allocate them as he sees fit. He then allocates the attributes as he deems fit, but notices that he is already tired after taking out just 20 wolves. He's not impressed with how weak E-rank bodies are. In addition to his list of problems, he knows he has to obtain a dimensional backpack where he can keep his loot and avoid losing it. Bai Yi also admits to the fact that taking on a demonic cave solo is pretty difficult. Regarding the Snow Wolf Diamond that he earned, it is a durable jewel used to craft special material weapons. It is also pretty expensive on the market. He knows the only way to get access to a high-tier demonic cave is to join the Divine Corps. Since the awakening schools are under the guilds, they often send representatives to scout prospective warriors for their teams. It is every student's dream to graduate with flying colors so as to join a guild. But if a student is unlucky and gets kicked off their team, their career is most likely over. This was what happened to Bai Yi's father and why he is stuck at C-rank forever. Looking at his current situation, Bai Yi realizes that he is going to burn even more stamina by taking on the beasts alone. In addition to this, he is already exhausted. Before he knows it, another pack of wolves appears out of nowhere. He decides to use a trick that he has up his sleeve. He makes a run for it, and the wolves follow. He leads them into a forest where he cuts down a bunch of trees to give himself a bit of space. This disturbance then attracts the beast residing in the forest, which is the cloud python. Bai Yi has the wolves to deal with, and he also has pythons joining the fray. To get out of the difficult situation, Bai Yi kicks his plan into motion. He lets off a loud explosion, hoping that it wakes one particular beast that he needs for his plan to work. His plan goes according to how he wants it, with the sleeping frost bear angrily emerging from where it is. The bear is in a state of rage which will force it to attack whatever it sees in its line of sight. The wolves and pythons are not safe from the bear's rage as they all get smashed. While the bear is smashing them around, Bai Yi is doing the cleanup from behind, earning him a bunch of experience points in the process. Bai Yi continues with the same tactics, earning experience points and also obtaining python fangs and wolf fangs. Bai Yi is able to use the weakness of the beast against them. He knows that they are aggressive, but they usually don't have the brains to back it up. They are essentially all brawn without brains. By using the bear against the wolves and the pythons, he is able to conserve his stamina. However, he still needs to be the one to finish up the beasts if he wants to gain the experience points. After fighting for some minutes, Bai Yi is already exhausted. He decides to jump into his next phase of the plan. Once the beasts are lined up in front of him, he hits the ice floor and breaks it to kill the beast. Since the start of the fight, he has been analyzing his terrain to see the pros and cons. He noticed that they are not fighting on a frozen lake, but rather an ice bridge suspended between two cliffs. This brilliant plan of his takes out almost all of the beasts in one fell swoop. Bai Yi is exhausted, but he still needs to take care of the frost bear and the remnants of the wolf pack. The system then unlocks a new title for him. He is called the 1 against 100, and with this title his stats get increased by 10% because he is fighting multiple enemies. However, Bai Yi is not worried about the frost bear yet. He knows that every cave has a final boss, and he is already expecting the final boss to show up. He has caused enough chaos, and he wonders why the boss hasn't appeared. Suddenly, the area gets hit with an ice spell. Before he can react to it, he and the beasts in front of him get hit by the spell. Bai Yi then realizes that he was wrong with his assumption. The final boss had already awoken, but it was waiting for the perfect moment when Bai Yi and the other beasts were exhausted to make its move. Bai Yi and the beasts are gathered in one spot, making it difficult for them to escape its spell. Bai Yi tries to move, but the spell already hits him. His legs are already frozen, and he realizes that the ice bridge was also a part of the boss's trap. The final boss put everything into place to show up and reap all the rewards all at once. It finally dawns on Bai Yi that the cave's final boss is an intelligent one. The final boss of the cave is the Kanglin demon monkey, and it also has some other apes as its guard. Almost every part of Bai Yi's body is covered in ice, preventing him from moving while the demon monkey wears an evil smirk. Apparently, the cave is designated as a high-risk cave that requires a bunch of E-rank warriors to challenge. With his body completely frozen over, Bai Yi is scared that he might go into hypothermia, which will be his end. The monkey boss raises his hand and points his finger at Bai Yi, ordering his monkeys to go after the incapacitated Bai Yi. Realizing that he is trapped, Bai Yi resorts to the use of the parry skill. Since the parry skill requires precise timing when blocking, Bai Yi makes sure to wait until the hit is about to land. He activates the parry skill and also the shatter skill, shattering the ice and blocking the incoming attack. Even though Bai Yi has temporarily gotten out of the situation, he knows he is in trouble because he has drained a big chunk of his stamina. The shatter skill comes into play when an awakened uses all their energy to break out of control effects, but this consumes a large amount of stamina. Bai Yi figures out that the demon monkey will need time before he can use an ultimate skill again, and he has to kill him before then. Just then, the demon monkey orders the ice bears and wolves to attack Bai Yi. Since the nucleo element has issues thriving with the cloud element, Bai Yi knows that his chances of winning are pretty low. He is low on stamina, and he is getting exhausted. The demon monkey just sits there like a proper villain while ordering his minions around. Bai Yi knows pretty well that he is going to meet his end if more beasts show up to attack him. He is still trying to think of a way out when he is attacked by one of the monkey beasts, trying to smash him down with a club. Bai Yi only manages to block the attack, but he gets pushed back with his knee scraping the ice floor while he tries to maintain balance with his short sword, grappling with the ice. The sudden attack causes Bai Yi to lose all of his strength, putting him at a serious disadvantage. The ice bears don't even stop screaming at Bai Yi, weakening him further. One of the bears throws an ice boulder at Bai Yi, but he manages to cut it down. However, the cold doesn't help with things, as Bai Yi's stamina has almost hit 0. Once the demon monkey notices that Bai Yi is almost drained, he pops up another ultimate skill, the Ice Storm. Bai Yi is shocked when he sees this, as he is not expecting the demon monkey's ultimate to have a fast cooldown. His eyes light up in horror as he stares at the incoming attack. This makes him remember that in his past life he faced life-or-death situations, and in these situations he was able to develop a sense for recognizing the right opportunities. Bai Yi figures out that at his current state, he has just 2 options. It's either he stays and keeps fighting, but since his stamina has hit the limit and he continues to endure damage from the beasts, he is definitely not going to survive. The second option is pretty simple. and this is him running away from the fight. Bai Yi wastes no time picking option 2, and he leaps off the cliff, trying to get away from the beasts. However, the demon monkey hits him with an ice spell that catches onto his feet, causing him to lose balance and fall off instead. With ice formed all around him, Bai Yi crashes down to the river below. While he is busy fighting for his life, his mother back home enters his room. She believes that Bai Yi is still sleeping, but she is shocked when she enters the room to see no one there. Bai Yi had left home the day before, which was a Friday, but now it is Saturday. Bai Yi's mom checks through the room and she finds a note left behind by her son, telling her that he went to a friend's house. Bai Yi urges his mother not to be worried, but the note only makes her more worried since she knows that her son would have told her he is going to a friend's house instead of leaving a note. She wonders what is going on with the boy since he has been acting all different since he came back home the day before. The woman is totally uneasy with several things running through her head. Back in the dungeon, Bai Yi managed to survive the fall. However, jumping off the cliff was also his plan. He remembers that nearly 100 beasts fell into the river when he broke the ice bridge earlier. However, he only got rewards for 40 beasts, which means the others survived the fall. Bai Yi coughs in pain as he drags himself out of the cold river. Even though he survived, he is running on a low percentage of his stamina. He is suffering from continuous blood loss, low temperature issues, and is in a completely weakened state. In addition to this, his body is severely damaged because he fell from a very high place. Without a doubt, Bai Yi knows that he is at his limit. While Bai Yi is lying in his weakened state, he wonders if he truly is at his limit. Before he knows it, he is already surrounded by beasts, like the ice bears, ready to finish him off completely. As the beasts get closer to him, Bai Yi falls into a state of deep reminiscing. He remembers his time with the Divine Core. He remembers the good moments he had with his teammates and everything that happens whenever he is at work. He also remembers his mother trying to make sure that he is fine. While remembering the good things, he also remembers his father's wickedness and the pain he suffered from the traitor who betrayed him. A voice rings in his head, telling him that it is the end for him. This is enough for Bai Yi to clench his fists together and decide that it is not the end for him. He manages to stand up, and just as the ice bear is about to finish him off, he raises his hand and holds the bear's giant teeth from closing in on him. Bai Yi is determined to make sure that all the negative and bad things that happened in his past life will not repeat themselves. He has died once, losing everything in the process too. But this time, he plans to turn everything around. With a newfound determination and energy burning inside him, Bai Yi smashes the ice bear before throwing it into the distance. Bai Yi lets off a cold breath and grabs his short sword again. Bai Yi's desperate attempt triggers something in him, which can push for a class advancement. Bai Yi stands back on his feet with a yellow aura swirling around his body while he is surrounded by monsters. His decision to put himself at risk by soloing a dungeon that would have required a team and going up against dangerous beasts is just for Bai Yi to make himself feel something from his past. This is a feeling of desperation where adrenaline pumps through his body, thus triggering a class advancement. Even though Bai almost died, he is not able to fulfill the conditions needed for the class advancement. However, instead of the class advancement, he learns a new skill. Nuclear Holy Swordsman. This is an ultimate skill, and it is well ahead of its time and level. He didn't get to advance his class, but the skill is something that would come in handy. With this skill, and the adrenaline pumping through his body, Bai Yi is brimming with aura and energy. He points his sword at the beasts, telling them that it is time for him to wipe them all out. One of the beasts makes a move, and the others follow suit. Bai Yi remains unfazed, and he prepares his short sword, waiting for the beast to take him on. Just as they get closer, Bai Yi unleashes a swirling but dangerous speed attack called Sanctuary that cuts through all of the surrounding beasts in just one slash. He cuts down the beast with the notifications popping up to tell him that he has taken down ice bears, forest wolves, and the number of experience points he has also acquired. After taking out the surrounding monsters, he acquires items like the Icefield Beast Hide, the Proud Barebone, and Bloodtooth. The Sanctuary skill helps clear his fatigue and also restores his lost stamina. In addition to this, Bai Yi gets an upgrade and he obtains the Icefield Wanderer. This helps to resist cloud element creatures plus 100 damage reduction, which is the exact thing he needs in his current situation. Bai Yi stares at the top of the cliff, promising that he is coming to wipe out the rest of the beasts, and this includes their boss. With the experience points coming in like a flood, Bai Yi is able to upgrade to level 9 of the E-Class. Bai Yi immediately activates the Icefield Wanderer effect to resist the effect of the cold. The Sanctuary skill also allows him to store all the damage he is getting from attacks and then release it on a group of enemies all at once. However, this is something that he can only use after he has taken in a lot of damage. However, Bai Yi is thankful that the skill has helped him restore his stamina. Bai Yi then remembers that he needs to get things done quickly and return home before his mother starts to worry. Bai Yi climbs up the cliff and he makes his way to the palace of the demon monkey boss. The demon monkey is protected by a bunch of ice beasts, but Bai Yi doesn't care as he bursts his way into the palace. After taking out some more beasts, Bai Yi is now at the last level of the E-class, which is level 10. Meanwhile, it is now 11 p.m., and Bai Yi's mother is seriously worried back home. She has prepared food and put it on the dining table, but she is left to wonder where her son is. She prays that her son is fine wherever he is. Now in the boss's palace, Bai Yi takes out the ice bears serving as guards for the palace, while he is left to fight the boss's personal guards, the scary monkeys. The monkey boss doesn't look scared, and he orders his guards to take Bai Yi out. One of the monkeys jumps at Bai Yi, but all Bai Yi does is block and then easily slice the monkey in half. The monkey boss sees this and realizes that things might actually be dire for him. He angrily unleashes his ultimate, the Ice Storm Assault. But this has zero effect on Bai Yi since he is already immune, thanks to the new skill he just acquired. Bai Yi then dashes toward the monkey boss, and in desperation, the monkey boss raises his staff. He activates a spell that causes the jewel on the staff to start glowing. This puts the rest of the monkeys in a hyper mode, but Bai Yi doesn't see them as a threat. He only sees them as beasts he needs to kill for him to reach D-class. Bai Yi cuts through the beasts like they are nothing before relieving the monkey boss of one of its arms. The monkey boss screams in pain as he watches blood spill out of his severed arm. Before he gets the chance to do anything else, he finds Bai Yi looking at him with a death stare. Bai Yi unleashes a series of cuts to the boss's body, thus defeating it. The notification pops up, telling Bai Yi that he has successfully taken down the D-class cloud element user, the King of the Azure Forest. Because of this, Bai Yi gains 1,000 experience points. Bai Yi also advances to the D-class Nuclear Warrior. After this, he sees that there are items that he can pick up. Because of the amount of experience points he has gathered fighting an enemy that uses cloud element skills, the system tells Bai Yi that a new profession is about to awaken. Bai Yi is shocked to see this since he totally forgot about it. Just then, a red and blue aura starts to emanate from his body. He then awakens the cloud element mage profession, and with this, he can switch professions at any time. Bai Yi is excited to have awakened a red profession, even though it is still an E-class. Bai is excited because, unlike the Nucleo class, which comes with a 100% bonus, the red class comes with 200%. In no doubt, the red class strength is already on the same level as his current class. Bai Yi then picks up the mage weapon, the Stone of Magic. He also finds a magic pouch that can hold a maximum of 20 items. While he is busy looting, the rest of the beasts that are still alive can only watch. After he is done looting, Bai Yi looks up and realizes that some of the beasts survived, and since he just awakened a new profession, he decides to try it out on them. He switches to the mage mode with a red aura coming out of his eyes as he prepares to annihilate the beasts. It is now 5 a.m. the next morning, which is on a Sunday. Bai Yi's mother has not slept one bit, and she is sitting in the living room hoping that her son comes back. Just then, Bai Yi opens the door, and the moment she hears this, she immediately stands up to see if it is her son. Bai Yi enters the house, smiling and apologizing for making his mother worried. His mother doesn't waste time before running over to her son and hugging him tightly while crying. Bai Yi is shocked to see that his mother has been waiting for him, and she has even refused to eat. Just then, Bai Yi tells his mother that he has some good news for her. Apparently, while leaving the dungeon, Bai Yi was able to gather loads of valuable items, and this is thanks to the magic pouch he found. Inside the pouch is also his weapon. After leaving the dungeon, he meets with an ore broker. The broker offers to buy the ore for 800, but Bai Yi proposes a counteroffer of 8,000. This shocks the broker that Bai Yi is demanding such a huge amount for the ore. Bai Yi doesn't argue with him, and he just snatches the ore from his hand, telling him that he is leaving. The broker is forced to increase his bid to 2,000, but Bai Yi counters again, demanding 5,000. The broker then proposes 3,000, saying it is his final offer. Just as he says this, Bai Yi starts increasing the price, and before he knows it, it has appreciated to 7,000. The broker is still arguing and wondering why Bai Yi is increasing the bid. However, the moment he realizes that Bai Yi won't stop, he quickly stops Bai Yi at 7,000, promising to take the ore for 7,000. Since Bai Yi is experienced with the brokers in his past life, he knows how to deal with them. From the money he got from selling the ore, he rents an apartment, which he takes his mother to. In his past life, his mother was falling from one problem to another, but in this life, Bai Yi just wants to take care of his mother and make sure that she enjoys herself. Bai Yi concludes the apartment deal right in front of his mother, shocking the woman because of the high amount. By 8 p.m. on that Sunday, Bai Yi and his mother settled into the new rented apartment. Bai Yi is happy to see his mother smiling because it has been so long since he saw her with such an expression. Even though Bai Yi has rented a new apartment and he has moved up from E to D class, He knows that he can't let his guard down because of his father. Bai Yi wants to make sure that he settles the issue with his father before properly going after his main target. Bai Yi then wears a magic stone on his right arm, and this is a stone that increases an area of effect magic by 50%. At the same time, Hong is training really hard, trying to surpass his limit. He is jumping from one labyrinth to the other without resting. Even when his sister tries to convince him to rest, he slaps her hand away. Hong is prepared to do anything as long as he stays on top. Elsewhere, there is another unknown fellow checking through the list of the newly awakened students. She is disappointed that there are no exceptional talents among the newly awakened. The next morning at 7:30 a.m., Bai Yi's mother had prepared food for her son. Bai Yi is shocked when he realizes that he is running late. He asks his mother why she didn't wake him, and his mother replies that he was having a good rest, and she couldn't bear to disrupt that. She pats him on the head, urging him to eat slowly. With his mother's comfort, Bai Yi calms down, realizing that it has been a long time since he slept peacefully. In addition, it's been a long time since he last had an unhurried breakfast. Just then, his mother asks him if there is anything that he wants, like a toy or a book. Bai Yi is surprised that his mother is suddenly proposing gifts to give to him. This is when his mother reminds him that his birthday is next Friday, which is June 5th. It dawns on Bai Yi that his mother is right, but it's been too long since he last celebrated his birthday, which is why he totally forgot. After his mother died in his past life, no one celebrated his birthday again, and gradually he forgot all about it. While tearing down on the food in front of him, Bai Yi is left to rack his brain and see if there is anything that he wants. He is left in a state of confusion since the things he really wants, he already has them. His next and most important objective is to kill the traitor, who caused his death, and that of his entire team. When Bai Yi gets to school that day, he learns that they are about to start preparing for the combat simulation. The teacher stands tall and stern in front of the newly awakened, telling them about the combat simulation. He explains that the academy is a middle school division that is supervised by the Divine Guild. He lets them know that the guild will be watching every move they make, and to impress the Divine Guild, the combat simulation is the best way to do that. He lets them know that the combat simulation will serve as the school graduation assessment, and it will also be broadcast live. The teacher tells them that the best performer will get the chance to participate in the training camp with the high school division. The training camp only happens once a year, and this is the best opportunity to come into contact with the Divine Guild. Apparently, the school usually organizes the best students from the middle and high schools to travel together to the Shanghai Nation, where the Divine Guild headquarters is located. Bai Yi remembers the Shanghai Nation since this is where he met his master, and also this is where the traitor was born. However, the traitor never met his master since he joined the Divine Corps after him. Bai Yi knows that he has to get high scores in the assessment so he can get into the training camp, which will give him more chances to find the traitor in the present. It turns out that the simulation battle is coming this Friday, which is 4 days away. While some are excited to take on the combat simulation, people like Four Eyes and Specs are worried because the simulation takes place inside a real labyrinth. Just then, the teacher points to the training room where they will be having their first training session, the physical conditioning. It is the gravity room where everyone is required to start with 10 sets of shuttle runs. In a surprising turn of events, Bai Yi walks up to his teacher, telling him that he doesn't want to use the recommended training room. This shocks the teacher and even the students who heard Bai Yi make the request. The teacher then tells Bai Yi not to get ahead of himself just because he defeated Hong. The teacher believes that Bai Yi is trying to skip training, but Bai Yi debunks this, telling the teacher that he wants to be engaged in a more specialized training. The teacher is further confused by this as he asks Bai Yi if he is trying to insinuate that there is a problem with his training methods. Bai Yi then reveals that the physical conditioning is necessary for almost every class of Awakeners, which means using the gravity room is not a bad option. However, Bai Yi believes that the shuttle run is only best for classes like Assassins and Warriors, which require speed and coordination. However, Bai Yi is pretty sure that not everyone needs this. He tells the teacher that classes like Mages and Chanters are better suited to train in the element room. He further adds that everyone should be allowed to train differently, since the use of classes for everyone is different. The teacher hears this and points out the fact that Bai Yi is basically teaching him how to do his job. Chi Yin hears the discussion between Bai Yi and the teacher, and this shocks her. She realizes that the training method Bai Yi is talking about is the same one that a training officer from the Divine Corps, Mr. Dongyang, mentioned. However, this is a newly proposed method by Dongyang, and she wouldn't have known about it if her father hadn't brought home the videotape. Chi Yin is surprised that Bai Yi is basically coming up with the same idea as Dongyang. Specs then tells Bai Yi to avoid being blunt with the teacher so as not to hurt the teacher's feelings since he is the school's most authoritative trainer. Instead of the teacher getting angry, he pats Bai Yi on the shoulder, smiles at him, and tells him that the training method he mentioned is interesting. Specs is glad that the teacher didn't take offense at what Bai Yi said. The teacher then tells Bai Yi that there are too many students in the school and it would be very difficult to cater to everyone's specific needs in the short term. The teacher points out that the combat simulation is a way to assess the student's performance, and if carried out the wrong way, it might derail a student's entire life and career. Bai Yi remembers that even though he had a bad family in his past life, his teachers were there to support him. The teachers were the ones who helped him grow into a responsible person, and not a twisted bad fellow. Bai Yi then turns to the teacher, assuring him that he is not going to let him down during the graduation performance. After hearing this, the teacher asks Bai Yi how he intends to train as an awakened nuclear warrior. Bai Yi then suggests that the teacher turn on the elemental suppression in the element room to its maximum setting. Hearing this shocks the teachers and even Specs. Bai Yi tries to lie his way out, telling the teacher that even though he is a warrior, he is trying to make sure that his abilities are balanced as a way to challenge his weaknesses. Bai Yi wants to do this to avoid explaining that he wants to train the mage profession. Just then, Qi Yin raises her hand, telling the teacher that she is also interested in practicing elemental control too. The teacher has no choice but to give in, and he tells the two to do as they please, but he urges them to put out their best during the final assessment. Qi Yin then walks up to Bai Yi, suggesting that they practice together, but Bai Yi quickly tells her that he is entering a private room to train. Qi Yin is surprised that she just got rejected by Bai Yi. Qi Yin claims that the rejection has fired her up and she wants to do her best. While training in the elemental room, Bai Yi is having a bit of difficulty since he is still new to the mage profession. However, he plans to master the profession in the short time that he has. In addition to this, he plans to hide the fact that he can switch professions since the school is under the supervision of the gods, and every move the students make is being watched. Bai Yi is trying to avoid a scenario where he becomes an early target for the gods. Meanwhile, Qi Yi is training with just 1% elemental suppression, and she thinks she can rival Bai Yi's strength. Bai Yi is also not ready to have anything to do with his classmates to protect them. After school that day, Specs and his friend catch up to Bai Yi. They tell him to slow down since it is hard for them to catch up to him. Apparently the two were Bai Yi's best friends in middle school in his past life. Because they were all weak, they both shared the same fate that came with bullying. However, having his weak friends around him was the only happy moment he had in middle school. Bai Yi is aiming to get revenge in his current life, and he doesn't think there is a need for him to have social interactions with his classmates. To get away from them, he gets on his bicycle and rides away, leaving them behind. The two cannot believe that Bai Yi just ran off again since they were supposed to be an unbreakable trio. Specs points out the fact that Bai Yi has totally changed after the awakening, as he now looks like a confident person. Moments later, the two catch up to Bai Yi, who was waiting for them. Just then, Bai Yi tells Specs to get his lungs checked when he is free. The two are happy that Bai Yi has finally stopped so he can walk with them, but Bai Yi shatters their hope again, telling them that they are too slow to keep up with him. He gets on the bike and rides off, leaving the two in absolute shock. Apparently, in his past life, Specs was suddenly diagnosed with a lung disease, and after this, he took a leave of absence, but because of how serious the situation was, he ended up passing away shortly after he was diagnosed. Bai Yi wants Specs to stay alive and healthy, even if they don't turn out to be friends. On the other hand, Specs believes that Bai Yi is still the same person, even though he appears cold now. At the recruit training ground at Shanghai Nation, two dudes are seen talking about the new recruit who just joined the Divine Guild and has been performing well. The recruit turns out to have the same hair as the traitor who betrayed Bai Yi and his team. That evening, when Bai Yi returned home, he told his mother to avoid going out alone. He assures his mother that he will always return home early, and whenever he comes back, he will come with groceries. Bai Yi is worried because he knows that the environment is not entirely safe for his mother yet, and he needs to provide a better place for her. At the prison for the awakened, Ling Sheng is already making a deal with one of the chefs there. The next day, which is Tuesday, Bai Yi has managed to familiarize himself with how mages operate. He realizes that the key is casting time and calculating the required elemental power. While he is trashing the training room and pushing it to his limits, Bai Yi's friends are struggling with the shuttle runs. The training session continues the next day, and after they are done training, Specs and his friend ask Bai Yi to join them for dinner, but, as expected, he bluntly refuses the offer, telling the two that he needs to return home early. However, he leaves his friends with some advice, telling them a secret technique that is meant for archers. The dude, who has archery as a profession, rejoices after hearing the advice. By Thursday, Specs visits the clinic, and this is where the doctor lets him know that he is actually very lucky to have come to the clinic. The doctor informs him that there is a parasitic tumor growing in his lungs, and this is a tumor that grows very fast. The doctor tells Specs to schedule a surgery at a major hospital so that the tumor can be removed, and he urges him to do this soon. Specs thanks the doctor and assures him that he is going to make an appointment. Just as he is leaving the doctor's office, He remembers that Bai Yi was the one who warned him about his lungs. He wonders how Bai Yi knew that there was a problem with his lungs. This further adds to the mystery surrounding Bai Yi. Just then, he hears some dudes talking about Hong. Apparently, Hong has reached E-Class Level 4, and they believe that he is going to come out as the best performer in the assessment. It turns out that his family has a private labyrinth, and Hong has been using this to level up. This is how his family has been training them as a private army. This is when the trio mentions something that really catches Speck's attention. It turns out that Hong is planning to teach Bai Yi a lesson after school, and this is for what happened between them last weekend. The trio talks about how pissed Hong is, and he is even planning to